All right, hello everybody. Andy here again. Thank you for joining me. I got some emails and I think somebody posted on a comment on YouTube just a little bit ago. They don't seem to understand how they factor in. It's, what's in it for me, and I truly understand that. So I wanted to do a video where I explain exactly what it is. Now, one thing you've got to understand that, and we're going to use this Asia cell as an example when we get going here in a second. But what I want you to understand is that we continue to add members. So as we continue to add members or increase our blocks or any of that, it's going to dilute this some. Okay, so you cannot hold what I share with you as exactly what you're going to get, number one, because we still don't know what the rate is. But I'll use a dollar, one Iraqi dinar equals one US dollar as an example only. I'm not saying that that's the rate coming out. I'm not insinuating, suggesting, or in any way implying what a rate may be. If what I'm showing you makes sense, you can do it at whatever you think the rate is going to be. If you think it's only going to be a dime, if you think it's going to be a penny, whatever, $10, whatever it is, you could substitute whatever rate you believe this to be. I'm strictly doing this as an example. But before we do that, let's take this net asset value. All right, so you've got a net asset value. Let's say, okay, it's 1,330,649,199. Okay, that's the total amount our account in Iraq is worth at this time. Okay, and that is in dinar, of course. So we can take it and divide it right now by the number of blocks. And currently we have approximately, it's under 8,800. I think it's 87 something. So we're going to use 8,800 blocks as an example. So you divide this by 8,800, and that means that each block is currently valued at 151,210 dinar. Okay, so roughly, I'm not even sure what the rate is, the 1460, but you can play with that all you want. But if it was 151,210 dinar per block, it's actually going to be a little bit more than that, but we're saying 8,800 just to be on the underside so that I don't mislead you in any way. So if dinar comes out at $1, you're looking at each block being valued at $151,210. And again, that's with no changes. Everything was the same other than the rate. My belief is that these stocks are continuing to rise, and they're rising. They've gone up, like I said, this about 26%. So will they continue to increase, and will they really increase once everything is international and you're able to trade Iraqi stocks on the NASDAQ or the S&P? I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I believe that's something that they were working on at one time. And either way, you should be able to easily trade on the Iraqi stock market. You'll be able to log into an account just like you do with Schwab or TD Ameritrade or any of those. So I don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. but they are progressing. So anytime you introduce a new market to the world audience, typically those things will take off. We just don't know if they will for Iraq. But your account is now worth $151,210. Some of these stocks will not pay dividends. Those are the ones we hope will grow. Some of them will pay 3 or 4%, which is the case with the bank stocks. Some of them don't pay at all, and then they may not pay for a year or two, and then suddenly they'll pay 3, 4, 5%. It varies. Every year is going to be completely different than the previous year, with the exception of Asia Cell and Baghdad for soft drinks. Those two have, for the last 3 or 4 years, have consistently paid. Baghdad for soft drinks has paid 15%. Asia Cell has paid 1 dinar, which equal to about 12.8% last year. All right, so you got $151,210 is the net worth per block. If they paid out a total of 5%, all the blocks, all the stocks, and we could count on 5%. I'm not saying we can, but let's say at 5%, well, you're looking at $7,550 per block, if that were the case. Could they pay out more? Sure. With Asia Cell paying out over 12%, Baghdad paying out 15%, yes, they could easily. And with those two combined, we have almost a little over 62% of our total value of stocks in those two. Those are two of the more expensive that we have. Those are the two most expensive that we currently have in our portfolio. So they'll make the biggest difference when dividends are paid. Okay, so back to that. If you've got 10 blocks, even at 5%, if it's dollar for dollar, then you'd be looking at $75,000 a year on just 10 blocks. That could be much more if these all pay, if it averages 10%. You could be looking at $15,000 per block per year. And like I said, every year is going to be a little different, but that'll give you something to play with. When we add things or there's any major changes, especially to the percentage here, if they increase or decrease, I'll start keeping you posted every so often. I won't make a promise on how often, but I will keep you posted on any significant changes on that. But take this number down here, this net asset value, and the figure you see right here, and from there you can divide it. And every time we hit a milestone on the blocks, once we hit over 8,000 or 8,800 blocks, then I'll say 8,850 until we get over maybe 8,801 or 8,805 or whatever. If it's over 88, I'll use 8,850 as a figure to base off of. If it's 8,855 blocks or 8,870 blocks, I'll say 9,000 blocks. I don't want to give a specific number because I don't want somebody questioning that I gave them a wrong figure, so I'm just giving you a ballpark each time. And it's constantly changes. Of course, every time somebody adds a block to their account, of course it changes. So this is simply for reference. If you can play around with it, you can do some numbers. But let's take Asia Telecom. If Asia Telecom pays 1 dinar per, and it's currently valued at 9.6 dinar. Okay, so if they give you 1 dinar per share, we have 50 million. We would have as a dividend payment $50 million. Okay. Now that again is, we're basing this on 1-to-1. You take this and put it whatever you think the rate may be. If you think it's going to be 3.35 or 6.54 or 28 cents, whatever it is, you take 50 million, whatever the share total here, times the rate. That's what you have as a value in that account. Okay, so we've got 50 million in the account. Asia Cell will be paying out, for example, we'll say Asia Cell pays out 1 dinar per, so that's what they've steadily done. So 50 million is what we get in our account. Now of course you're gonna minus off the fees and stuff, but we're just gonna go with direct figures here. So you're gonna multiply this, or I'm sorry, you're gonna divide this by the 8,800 blocks. Okay? Whatever number you think that we're going to get in dividends, you would divide by the total number of blocks to get your amount per block, and then you would times that by the number of blocks you have. So if we take 50 million divided by 8,800, you're looking at 56.81 per block. Okay, so 56.81 times the number of blocks you have. Let's say you have 5 blocks. So 56.81, and you've got 5 blocks. That's $28,405. At $1 dinar per dollar US dollar, 1-to-1, this is your payout if you own 5 blocks. If it's $3, you multiply that by 3. If it's 50 cents, you'd cut that in half. If it's a quarter a share, or a dinar is valued at 25 cents, you'd be looking at a quarter of that. And you go in either direction. I think most people are a little more positive, and we're all definitely hopeful for a higher rate. But again, don't set your sights too high to be disappointed. I tend to be a little bit more conservative in my guess, and I can say that I think it'll be 150 to 250, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm just going on stuff that I've seen and what I think, but again, it means nothing because everybody is guessing everywhere from a float on up, so there's no real way to know what the rate could be, and anybody that gives you a rate is only guessing. Asia Telecom, if it's dollar for dollar and they pay 1 dinar per, then it's 1-to-1-to-1. They pay roughly 12%. It was 12.88% I think last year. So say 12% would be 56.81. If you own 5 blocks, then your annual payout from this one is 28,405. Now remember, these 5 blocks was $575. The most you would have paid for 5 blocks is $625. Now I can't add in Western Union fees and all that because a lot of people don't pay that. Some do, some don't. But the actual cost for the blocks at max $625. And on one stock in 1 year at dollar for dollar, you made $28,405. You cannot lose after that. It just takes this stock, Asia Cell, to pay what they've been paying, and for dinar to be dollar for dollar, for you to make many times your money. And this is going to be year after year. Plus you've got these other stocks that are going to be paying just as well. Now Baghdad for soft drink, I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. We are, right now we're only at 44 million. As more people continue to buy blocks, we have a standing order for Al Mansur Bank. We still have a bit to go because we're getting to $500 million. So we got 1,858,000. Anyway, don't hold me to that. But we're going up to 500,000 there. Asia Cell's where we're at until we get this to $500 million, this to 100 million, and this to 100 million. We still have a way to go. As you can see, 3055. It takes a chunk of change to get this up another, what, 55, a little over 55 million shares. So we've got to buy about 160 million, 170 million dinar. So it's 140, 150,000 more to go. So we've got, all in all, it's roughly about 300,000 more. So I don't know that we'll ever hit it. I'd like to think we don't have time, but that's wishful thinking. If we do, when we hit $500 million here, we hit 100 million here, and 100 million here, then everything else that I purchase is right here. I may see about another high dividend stock. There just aren't very many that pay the good dividends. Our goal, again, is to maximize the dividends annually. Yeah, we do want some growth stocks. Banks, we can only hope that they go up. What I may end up doing at some point, if they do increase some, then we may, let's say, Al Mansur Pharmaceutical. I don't know what it pays, 3 or 4%. Maybe Bank of Baghdad pays 3 or 4%. It's not going to be all that much money per block. So I may take one of these other two. I may sell 100 million shares. This is after the rate change. If it's a substantial amount, then I may take each time that we're going to pay out dividends on any of these. Let's say I take out 100 million of these shares and sell them. Well, this one is 0.6. If it's dollar for dollar, that's 60 cents. 100 million, that'd be $60 million that we would add to whatever the dividends are paying out here. I mean, that's an option. We may exercise it, we may not. What I may do, if these decide they aren't going to increase in value, if they're not a good growth stock and they're not paying out dividends, I may sell a chunk of them to get a stock that does pay good dividends. So we're going to have to play with it, play it by ear, but just know that Asia Cell will do well. But let's take Baghdad for soft drink. You got 44, 634, 629, and you multiply that. Let me get it a little bigger here. I'm not sure how it's going to look on the screen. And it's dollar for dollar. Then you're looking at $44,634,629 times 15%. Let's get the calculator if I can get to it. So we now have 44, 634, 629 times 15%. That's we'll go 6.7 million. Since we're going up on the blocks, we'll go up on the amount just a little bit too. So I think 5,000, 4,948 something is not enough to make a big difference. So we got $6,700,000. Okay, we're going to divide that 8,800 ways. You're looking at that $100 block being worth $761. Again, 1 to 1. If you got 10 blocks, you're looking at $77,610. Now that's before any fees, that's before their exchange fees, that's before the Water Enterprises fees and all that, but there's not that much coming off of here. So we don't know the selling fees, then the conversion fees, the wire fees, all of that will come out. Then 10% off of that, and you get the balance that's left over. Even if that all costs $61, you were looking at $700 a block at 1 to 1 again. You just made, on this one, you just made 7 times your money. Now, this one is going to increase if we get more, if we're able to purchase more shares. You know, again, we only have 3 of these stocks that we're buying. So at some point, we're going to increase this as we increase blocks sold. The only one that's going to be diluted is Asia Cell, because I don't know that we're going to have time to even consider adding to that one. I don't know that we're going to have time to build these up to what our buy order is currently. But Asia Cell is coming along after that. I would love to get this to 100 million. I just don't see it happening. And I hope we don't have time to add any more of this to anything. So I would be tickled to death if it was to revalue tomorrow, as I'm sure everybody that's listening would. But anyway, this is just a glimpse into how you can figure it out. So when I post, and like I said, a lot of times I just post, I just post this right here. I don't post everything. I just post it to the commission side of it. And the only reason I do that is to catch this buyer. Or I may just cut it off right here. Shows you how much I pay attention. But either way, you'll always know the total net asset value. You take that, divide it by the number of blocks, currently around 8,800. And then you multiply it by the number of blocks you have. I don't know how to explain it any better. Then you can figure out 2% annual dividend payment, 5%, 8%, 10%, whatever you think the dividend total might be. Like I said, this Asia Cell has been 1 dinar per, which would make it 50 million. Baghdad for soft drinks has been paying out 15%, and I don't have a handle on these. I know Gulf Commercial, for the last couple of years, I believe, have said they weren't paying out dividends. They were reinvesting it back into the bank. Okay, after you've done that, when do you ever start paying commission or dividends? So these could end up start paying dividends. 3 or 4%. Well, that's a pretty good chunk. No matter how you slice it, for those that wonder, we're in a good position to profit remarkably when this finally does change value. So for those that have questions about this or need me to explain something, please let me know. I am trying to figure out. I want to be as informative as I can. So I want to put as much out there and educate you as much as possible. I think the better educated we are, the more proactive we are, the better this windfall that we are all about to be blessed with will help sustain us and help so many other people along the way. So I want to help you in any way whether it's through investments, whatever it may be, through to not only gain your wealth, add to it, but also prosper from it. And by prospering from it, you're able to help even more people. And that's my goal, and I hope it's yours. But I don't know if I've confused everybody with this. I hope not. I may see it in my head a different way than anybody else sees it. I just want you to know that we are in a good spot. The dividends, you'll have far more. At $1, you would have far more money year one than you've invested. The rest of it is gravy. And as we continue to grow, these numbers will continue to change, but I'll keep you updated on that as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you see something you want me to do a video on. I don't always get in to check the comments on the YouTube, so shoot me an email or a comment on something on the site. I'm more likely to see it that way. But either way, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a very blessed day. Take care.